Afternoon peeps, good afternoon everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. All right, my experience in Nigeria. Let's do this. Look, I always like going back to Nigeria. As you guys know, I was born in Nigeria. I lived in Nigeria a few years ago for a couple of years. And I go back there as much as possible. So look, when I was asked to do this event, aside from the fact it's boxing, the idea of going back to Nigeria was like a good thing. So I was like, yep, absolutely. But one thing I did say is that I want this event to look as good as possible. Just because I do think there is an opportunity to grow the sport in Africa a lot. There are so many boxers in Africa that have to travel out of Africa to get their opportunities. And I'm like, one second, we can actually put on big events in Africa, not specifically Nigeria. Obviously, I'd like it to be Nigeria, but anywhere in Africa. Ghana had an event a couple of months ago. I used to work for a company that put on events in South Africa every month. Not South Africa. It was based in South Africa, but they used to travel all over Africa. So Namibia, we did events in Zimbabwe. We did events in Ghana, Nigeria, all over the place. So look, I do think there is a massive opportunity with the right push, the right investment, the right people to really, really grow the sport in Africa. Fighters get paid well. And we know there's always this thing about boxing can change lives. And I do think that could apply to Africa. Firstly, I want to say a massive, massive thank you to the fighters that flew out, that weren't fighting. David Ade. Very, very important this. David Ade flew out. Lawrence Okoli flew out. Moses Italma flew out as well. And others. But obviously those being of Nigerian heritage, I think it looked really good on the event that those boxers flew out. Disappointed, obviously, no AJ. It would have been nice, but I don't know if AJ had any other commitments, but it would have been nice to see the big man there. But I'm sure that can happen in the future. Now, I've seen a few people shit on the event a little bit, which I think is harsh. I do. I went there with an open mind. Look, I've done the biggest events ever, really. I mean, I've been lucky enough to have been at some of the biggest boxing events. And I'm not going to compare it to that. I'm not even going to compare it to some of the smallest events, because this was almost like the first real boxing event Nigeria's put on, of this magnitude anyway. And what I mean by this magnitude is an event where, because it was on DAZN and TalkSport showed it, the eyes of the world are therefore on it. They went very ambitious and went to a stadium. So they were almost shooting for the stars here. And maybe they could have been best served going to a small arena, right? First one, let's just go to a small arena, plug and play, and it's easy. But they were like, no, we want to go to a stadium. We want to show off as much as we can that we can do this thing. So yeah, it was almost like, for me, it was almost going there knowing that this was almost like their first one. And I'm sorry, if it is your first one, it's difficult for me to accept the stick they're getting because it's the first one. And I'm not just saying this as Nigerian, right? So I'm sticking up for my people. I genuinely mean this. If it's your first event, I mean, there are going to be problems. There are going to be mistakes. There are going to be things that you look back on and think, okay, we should have done this. We should have done that. And that won't happen in the second, the third, and the fourth event. But for the first one, there are going to be issues. And there were some issues. I think on fight night, I think the ring could have been way better. I felt sorry for some of the fighters, the padding on the ring. But again, we're talking small things that can be improved. One guy from the Nigerian Commission decided to jump in the ring during one of the fights and tried to call the fight off. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? So the Nigerian Commission needs to be abolished and started again, by the way. But we'll get to that. So there were certain things that, again, from my experience of covering big fights, I'm thinking, okay, that can easily be improved. Do you know what I mean? If it was something massive, I'd be like, okay, they've got a bit of a problem. But these are small things that can be improved that next time round, and there's a lot of talk about a fight card in December, which is quite a quick turnaround. In fact, maybe too quick, but again, they're very ambitious, that they can easily fix. The ring is one thing. You can easily get another ring. Like that can be easily fixed. So look, overall, I thought they were very ambitious. The guy that's putting it on, Dr. Easy Adamu, is a massive boxing fan. He's trying to get support from the government, and they're trying to do their thing. And I will always support, because you guys know, I don't think there's been a bigger voice of saying we need to see fights in Africa or specifically Nigeria than me. There's not been. So I'll always support as much as I can. That's why I think it looks really good that Okoli, Adelaide and Moses were there, because it just looks big time, doesn't it? And everyone is very sort of high on the visuals. One thing that has to happen, and look, I don't even think it's even controversial. The Nigerian Boxing Commission just need to go. And another sort of head needs to be brought in. I don't know if it's a sort of they have like a 4-year tenure or there's some sort of voting system. But yeah, we need a fresh face, a younger, more energetic, someone that just understands what is needed to improve the sport, because the facilities aren't just good enough for the fighters to train in. It's just a shambles. I don't even want to get into sort of some of the things that happened, but yeah, they need to go and another commission needs to come in if this thing is going to get somewhere. Honestly, because I can't even get into it, but yeah, they need to go. Once that happens, and someone young with just a love for the sport that wants to see the sport grow, maybe your boy gets over there. I think this grows. I do. I think this grows. Again, guys, it was the first one. You know what I mean? Don't compare it to fights in the UK. Don't compare it to fights in the US. Don't even compare it to the money and fights in the Saudi. Don't compare it. Don't compare it to fights in Mexico. Do you know what I mean? The first one, people. So look, I'm very excited as to what can happen. There's little things that, like even the ring announcer. I feel bad saying this, but maybe, you know, like what they do. You think about what the UK do over here, and I've always kind of wondered, why do they do that? But they always fly US guys over, don't they? David Diamante comes over. All of them are US. Big Mo, they're all US, isn't it? Queensbury. Everyone flies over a US voice. So even that will give it that extra bit of sort of Hollywood stardust. Things like that. Again, small things. Small things. I thought the weigh-in, the press conference looked really good. The face-off was very much a lastminute.com thing. But if we can get a bit more prepared, that can look better. I think they're onto something. And I'm here to kind of help as much as possible. I'm not one of those people that are going to be like, stop it, it was shit. No fucking way. I think there is a massive opportunity for boxing to get really big in Ghana, which has a huge history of boxing, and Nigeria. Massive. And then, again, what it does do, it means the local fighters can get paid. They need better trainers. They need people that can help with... There's so much that can be done, and that's the beauty of it. If I went there, this is the thing. We'll end on this very quickly. If I went there and they had everything down to a T and the event was still a 6 out of 10, I'd be like, yeah, I don't know about this. Because I went there and I know that there's so much lacking and the event was a 6, 7 out of 10, I'm like, okay, 1 second. So if we do this and this and this and this and this, we can, yeah. I mean, some of the stuff I've read online, people like dissing it. I'm like, this whatever. But again, I could be saying this because Nigerian and I want it to work. But look, ultimately, I thought it was okay. It was okay. And I look forward to the next one in December, which I'm telling you guys will be better because I will make it better. I over there, I wasn't even really like a presenter over there. I was trying to fucking just make sure things were working over there, trying to help. And everyone was putting together. That's what I liked about it. Was a small team and everyone was working. And I think everyone has left knowing, okay, if we come back and do this, 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 and this, we're good. So yeah, that was my experience of the event. I would love for them to go to a small arena. I don't know if there is a small arena, but what they do have is like big halls, like wedding halls and things like that. Do it in a hall. Do it in a hall where there is no issue. Like, it rained on the morning of the event, massive downpour, and it was outside and everything had to stop. Electrics went all fucking haywire. That doesn't happen in a hall, obviously. So I think next time, let's go to a hall, 3,000 packed in, and I think it'll be so much better. Anyway, guys and girls, we're back.